The surroundings were familiar, but there was much work to be done as FP1 got underway at the Red Bull Ring for the Austrian Grand Prix. Softer tyres and far cooler conditions meant new parameters to explore as Formula One prepared for its second race in the Styrian Hills in 2 weeks. The second sector's tight turns again proved tricky for some, McLaren's Daniel Ricciardo and Haas's Nikita Mazepin struggling at turn 3. And Yuki Tsunoda took his AlphaTauri off-road at the testing turn 4-5 section. Lance Stroll fell foul of the gravel at turn 6, dipping his right rear a touch too deep and spinning across the damp grass onto the opposite side of the track. Gathering it together just before re-entering the circuit, he continued on his way. It wouldn't be the last of his woes, however, the Canadian losing it under acceleration out of the final corner at the halfway mark and narrowly avoiding contact with the barriers.
And I had no grip picking up the power. These tyres are done.
Both Ferraris found turn 1 a task early doors, with first Carlos Sainz and then Charles Leclerc locking up alternate front tyres. Ferrari made a big step forward last weekend after their disappointing French Grand Prix, and on Thursday were full of optimism that what they discovered 1 week ago would be beneficial not just this weekend, but for the remainder of the season. The two Mercedes drivers weren't immune to turn 1 turmoil either. Both previous winners at the Red Bull Ring, Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, had to use all their undoubted skill and muscle memory to keep their silver arrows flying straight. Lando Norris had to negotiate the first corner runoff too, but the Briton, the only driver to have scored points in every race this season, managed to steer his McLaren clear of trouble. Traffic was also a problem, especially for AlphaTauri.
I get traffic everywhere, nobody gives a so.
That's not really gonna change now.
Yeah, idiot, this guy.
3 reserve drivers were tasked with FP1 duties as Roy Nissany returned to the Williams cockpit in place of George Russell and Callum Ilott jumped into Antonio Giovinazzi's Alfa Romeo. But all eyes were on Alpine, as F2 Championship leader Guan Yu Zhou sat in for Fernando Alonso, becoming only the second Chinese driver in history to take part in a Formula One weekend session. On the pace from the off, he ended the session a brilliant 14th, 4/10 off his teammate.
Thank you so much everyone for this experience. I absolutely loved it. Norris made a good progression.
But it was Max Verstappen who led every lap to victory in the Styrian Grand Prix less than a week ago, who was top of the timing screens as the session drew to a close with a 1:05 .143. Second and third went to the impressive Ferrari duo of Leclerc and Sainz, putting all of that accrued knowledge from 1 week ago to immediate use. Bottas was fourth, with Tsunoda again in impressive form for AlphaTauri. Kimi Räikkönen was excellent in 6th, unexpectedly ahead of Hamilton, whose P7 over half a second off Verstappen was the best he could muster. Sergio Perez ended the session 8th, with Pierre Gasly 9th and Norris completing the top 10. Esteban Ocon's 11th place was a small improvement on a week ago, but both he and Daniel Ricciardo in 12th will hope there is more to come. Lance Stroll's messy morning saw him end the session 13th, with the aforementioned Zhou outpacing 4-time champion Sebastian Vettel. Ilott finished 16th ahead of his former F2 foe Mick Schumacher, while Nissany outpaced regular Williams racer Nicholas Latifi to the tune of 0.3 seconds. Nikita Mazepin completed the 20.